A bizarre phone call between Donald Trump and Candace Owens just got leaked. And yes, it involves Emmanuel Macron and his wife. It's the kind of unhinged gossip meets geopolitics moment that somehow actually happened. But to really understand how deep the damage goes, we've got to rewind. Because it's not just Trump's phone calls, it's the entire government he's been quietly poisoning from the inside out.
The harm is done, right? Like a future president could come back in and restart USAID, but like things change, the world moves on, and it becomes hard to these complex systems. It becomes very challenging to put them back together in a way that they worked before, and so we're not going to be able to save as many people's lives as we were before. I think that's true about everything. It's certainly true about the Justice Department. Just think about the people that are checking out, the career people. You focused on the folks that were fired, rightly. Think about the people that are just choosing to leave, right? And then think about what types of people are being attracted to go into the government right now. Who wants to go work for Kristi Noem and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi? And, it is going to take a generation to unwind all of that stuff. And, just as one example of the people that are going back in versus those coming out, there's a CNN story by my friend Andy Kaczynski about this Paul Ingracia who's going into the DOJ this week. And here's the sentence. He has a year of government experience. He just passed the bar. He has a history of racist invective, conspiratorial rants, and an affinity with a well-known Holocaust denier. That's what Andy Kaczynski's reporting. Like, these are the types of people that are going in. Good people who are trying to do the work are either getting fired or leaving. It is going to be a long time before we can put Humpty Dumpty back together again.
Trump didn't just break the system. He dragged it into a back alley, beat it with a golden golf club, and hired a conspiracy podcaster to do the autopsy. What Tim Miller is describing here, it's not just about damage. It's about institutional rot, the kind you can't just fix with a new president and a few press conferences. Talented people, they're bailing. Fired, demoralized, replaced by far-right interns who think deep state is a Marvel villain and who can't spell Constitution without a cheat sheet. And who's sliding into their place? Oh, just folks with Holocaust denial ties and Reddit mod energy. Trump's dream team. This is why draining the swamp always meant replacing career experts with Twitter trolls in suits. And now, after all this America First chest pounding, the international scene is in worse shape than ever. And here comes the cherry on top. Trump's foreign policy blow up, all triggered by a simple question about Macron that his team completely botched. Let's go with Caroline Levitt.
So President Macron of France earlier today said that tariffs levied by powerful countries are often a form of blackmail, and criticized the sort of process that's underway. He didn't mention the United States specifically, but said that these tariffs are really hurting developing countries. So there's this big UN conference going on. What do you say to that? What is the president, was he aware of that comment, and did he have any response?
I think the president and the White House would certainly reject that characterization by Prime Minister Macron.
Macron's calling out powerful countries for weaponizing tariffs like a global shakedown. And who could he possibly be talking about? Tough one. But instead of addressing the damage, Trump's crew sends out Caroline Levitt, who delivers the most wooden defense since Ron DeSantis' campaign launch, claiming that tariffs are a presidential superpower now. This is what happens when you mistake hostage negotiations for economic policy. Trump treats allies like enemies, and enemies like guys he owes money to. He didn't just fail to build relationships, he nuked the group chat. No real deals, no diplomacy, just constant flexing and Fox News sound bites. And speaking of utter disasters in foreign policy, wait until you hear what Candace Owens leaked about Trump's bizarre call about Emmanuel Macron. Buckle in, it's embarrassing.
President Donald J. Trump, he is calling me. He tells me that Emmanuel Macron is requesting to his face I stop speaking about his wife. I said to him, respectfully, Mr. President, it's not my fault that he married someone with a penis. And I say, look, I'm happy to do this for the short. Obviously, I don't want to have on my conscience that less Christian men could have died in the East if I just shut up about something.
You're telling me you could negotiate to end a war, but you need a podcaster to delete a video? That doesn't sound like you're leading on behalf of your people. By the way, close to 1 million guys have died or been maimed in this war. White, Christian, Orthodox men at the behest of a non-Christian leader. What religion is he? Mormon.
So Trump called Candace Owens to relay a message to Emmanuel Macron about his wife. This isn't satire. This isn't a sketch. This is how Donald Trump is actually operating behind the scenes, conducting foreign policy like it's a high school group chat. Instead of engaging diplomats or national security staff, he's phoning a conservative influencer to complain about a strange statement about Macron's wife. That's the level of seriousness we're dealing with here. And Candace Owens, she just casually drops this nuclear level cringe on her show like it's normal. Like, sure, the former president called me personally to help avoid World War III over a meme. What's even more insane? Trump supposedly wants to negotiate peace in Eastern Europe, but needs a podcaster to delete a video first. The same man claiming he'll end all wars is apparently held back by Candace Owens' YouTube channel. This isn't leadership, this is QVC meets Kremlin. And when you wonder why world leaders laugh behind his back, this is why. The French president is out here navigating global diplomacy, and Trump sending coded messages via MAGA TikTok. Meanwhile, his actual priority, shoving through a budget just so he has something to sign and show off on the 4th of July. Like a toddler holding up his finger painting at a birthday party. But even that is going sideways. And what just happened to one Republican congressman in an interview? It's straight up political comedy. Next clip, instant humiliation.
I'm just waiting out to hear just exactly everything. We've been breaking it down piece by piece.
So you're taking issue with the CBO estimate here?
Yes, ma'am, I do have an issue with it. The office is very partisan. I mean, 85% of the people in their healthcare division identify as a Democrat, or they've contributed to Democrats, or they're registered Democrats. They're leading, I believe their leading economist is that. We ought to do away with these organizations because we use them when we like them. We don't use them when we don't like them. And you've got a bunch of bureaucrats in here that are on a lifetime gravy train. And frankly, we've got independent agencies that can do that. We have people up here with accounting degrees that can do the math. So I feel like that is a waste of taxpayers' money.
So in January 2024, there was a Republican who trusted the CBO so much that they reintroduced a resolution to require the House clerk to read the CBO estimate of any bill. I believe that was you, sir, the third time you introduced that resolution. Is that right?
That's correct, ma'am. Of course, and that proves
but
just
you
what
don't
I
like
said.
The you don't like the CBO
us,
now,
ma'am.
But you don't like the CBO now. You introduced that resolution over multiple years, but now you're dissing the CBO.
Did the bill pass?
Your resolution?
Did the bill pass? Yes, ma'am.
You introduced it, sir.
I know
It's
it, ma'am,
irrelevant.
but did it pass? They never pass because nobody wants any verification. It proves my point. When it serves us well,
you took a
when
stance
it
and you
serves
were
us well, we're for it. But when it doesn't, we don't.
Tim Burchett just pulled off the political version of arguing with himself in public and losing. 1 minute, the Congressional Budget Office is so partisan it should be abolished. The next, he's literally the guy demanding we read their reports out loud on the House floor. You can't make this stuff up. He introduced the resolution not once, not twice, but 3 times. And now he's pretending it doesn't count because it didn't pass. Classic MAGA logic. If reality doesn't help, just gaslight it. And believe it or not, the mess didn't end there.
So you're clear about where you are on the CBO, I just want to say, but just to get to where you said earlier that you were closer to voting yes after speaking with the president. I saw the vice president sent you put a nice tweet up that you responded to. What did the president say to you that made you feel maybe closer to voting yes?
He talked about the economic output that we would have that was not in the CBO scores, and along those lines, he talked about other things that I'm not going to share, but because it was in privacy. But I think there's a lot of things that probably be revealed when this is passed, and I think America will embrace it further. I think again, once you do some things like straighten up Medicaid and Medicare, and you dispute a lot of the lies that are in the media about people be getting kicked off, I think America understands what we're up against in this. We're up against people want to call it the swamp up here, but it's really just a sewer. It's a man-made thing that it doesn't produce anything, and it fights us every step of the way. And so I think once you allow Americans to get out and work and actually force those to work and get them off the couch that some of them are on, that are in the illegals and folks that are gaming the system, I think you're going to see that this country will will bust wide open economically, and I think that's going to be a great thing for this country.
Ah yes, the classic Trump world argument. Just trust us. The real benefits will be revealed after we pass the bill. Sounds totally legit, right? Burchett won't say what Trump told him, but apparently it was so persuasive it made the Congressional Budget Office magically irrelevant. Also, we've now entered the get people off the couch phase of the rant, complete with vague attacks on immigrants and the swamp, now rebranded as a sewer. Truly poetic stuff, and just when you think it couldn't spiral further into nonsense, now it's starting to get heated.
Well, the CBO, which you put so much trust in for years and years, that you passed a resolution wanting estimates read before bills, is very clear about how
Yes,
many
ma'am.
people are going to be kicked off of health care until you were against the CBO.
No, ma'am. You listen. If you want to do the editorial, just go ahead, and you don't need me on here. But the
These
CBO,
are facts, sir.
I would
I don't
like
have
to
to
see
editorialize.
scores. I would like to see what the economic output of every bill. You as a taxpayer should want that too. And the CBO is the only organization we have. If I could allow a private accounting firm to do it, I would much rather that happen. But the reality is it would have to be the CBO. And what do you have against knowing how much each bill is spent? Why is the media opposed to that? Why do you all on the left always fight every chance at America knowing what's going on? The problem y'all have with this bill, ma'am, is that it gets government out of our way and lets Americans make some decisions, and maybe hardworking Americans would have a better choice and a better shot at life in this country without you all just telling us how bad things are going and trying to construct, and as you're doing with me, trying to dictate what I've said. And the reality is the CBO is a partisan organization, and the reality is America has a right to know how much we're spending on every piece of legislation. I cannot believe you as a member of the media would not want open records, and that is exactly what that bill would do.
Burchett just did verbal gymnastics so intense he nearly pulled a hamstring. He loves the CBO, unless they disagree with him. Then they're partisan hacks. He wants transparency, but only if it supports his narrative. And somehow this ends with the media being the problem. Classic deflection. The man literally argues against himself mid-sentence. It's like debating a mirror with an attitude. But here's the best part. He thinks shouting about open records will magically make the bill less brutal for working Americans. But the reporter? Oh no, she didn't let that slip by.
Sir, we have reported on what is in this bill. We do that time and again.
Ma'am, you all are trying to scare, are you talking about the big, beautiful bill? You all just try to scare America by telling millions of people are going to be cut off this thing. You're talking about the people that are on it illegally, that are gaming the system, and that is. And
no, we're not. The
CBO
is very clear.
The bill does not do anything of what you've said, and all you've done is scare America, and you're not doing a service to this country, ma'am. And you all ought to start talking. You want to talk about transparency, and then there you are attacking me on a bill where I'm trying to make it transparent to how much we're spending on each piece of legislation. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
You wanted to have the CBO estimate, and you're now railing against CBO estimates.
Because that is the only organization. That is the only organization at our disposal to do that.
Good enough for you, and we are reporting on it. Congressman Tim Burchett, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, ma'am. It's been a real pleasure.
It has been.
Tim Burchett just spent an entire interview arguing against his own bill, denying the only agency he insists on using, and accusing the media of reporting on it. The man actually called it a big, beautiful bill, which we all know is Trump code for no one read it. He rants about transparency, then attacks the reporter for reading the CBO's own numbers. And let's not forget, the people he claims are gaming the system are mostly hardworking Americans who actually rely on the programs he's gutting. This wasn't a policy discussion, it was a tantrum in real time. And the reporter, cool as ice, she never flinched. She fact-checked him on live TV, and he walked straight into every trap with the grace of a confused raccoon. Like this breakdown? Hit that like button, subscribe to stay updated, and don't forget what's coming next in the Trump circus. Let's just say it's even worse.